What's going on, guys? Joe here with another epic video. Today, guys, in this video, I'm going to be going through cards new players need to know about before playing Yu-Gi-Oh! In 2021. This video was recommended from one of you guys in our community, uh, Romulo, that wanted me to go through and do the video for you guys. So I'm going to run through and do really just go through the cards, guys. These are just basically my personal picks that I think of cards before you start playing Yu-Gi-Oh! You should know about, or maybe you just got back into Yu-Gi-Oh! And you haven't played in the last couple of years. I went through and picked some of it's just kind of a bunch of balance stuff. So we'll go through a bunch of stuff that's kind of like insane. We'll go through some standard common stuff that you're going to see most people play on their decks. So it's a good thing to know in case you're getting back into the game and you're not sure what cards to expect. Maybe you're thinking about going to locals or playing on one of the online events, or maybe even playing one of the games like I do, like Omega or something like that. Download one of the simulators. So this would be a really good video if you're thinking about just kind of getting back into the game and playing one of those games, whether it be in person or remote, or just your standard locals. So we're going to go through a bunch of that stuff today, guys. If you guys are new to the channel, definitely consider getting subscribed. I do videos like this for tips, tricks, and I take recommendations from the community as well as videos, such as this video, such as itself. If you guys have any questions, or if you guys felt like there's any cards that I left out, please feel free to comment them down below. I didn't put everything in here, but I felt like was the most common stuff that's really just being seen, that's being seen right now, and that's just going to be constantly pretty much going to be played either way. With that being said, let's kind of go ahead and dive into the video, guys. All right, so we're going to go through. So the first one, we can't have a video like this without going over hand traps. So what hand traps are, guys? We'll kind of look at the main one that almost everyone uses in almost every deck is Ash Blossom. So this is going to be a very common card that you see consistently. You guys will see me if you've watched any of my live streams. If not, definitely check them out, especially if you're just getting in the game or thinking about getting back in. You'll see me a lot of times talking about bait and Ash. I'll try and play, like if I'm using the Gladiator Beast deck, I'll play like my Proving Ground. Maybe if I already have what I need in my hand, I'm just baiting them out, or maybe I'll play Unexpected Die, or something like that to try and special summon a monster from the deck, just to bait them with the Ash, so I can go ahead and do the other play that I want to. So it's things like that. So it's good to keep things like that in mind strategy-wise. So that's why it's important. And that's why I wanted to do this video for you guys. As soon as he recommended it in the live stream the other day, I'm like, yo, that'd be a good video for you guys, because it would take me too long to answer the question in the live stream. So I figured it'd be a good video. I could make a good topic of video and chat with you guys about in this video here. But yeah, so Ash Blossom, let's go, like, if we look down at her effect, guys. So she's a zombie tuner effect. She's a 3-star fire monster. So what she does when a card or an effect activates that includes any of the following effects: quick effect, meaning a quick effect. I'll go over what that as well. Quick effects, guys, what that means is you can activate it on your turn or your opponent's turn. So it doesn't matter whose turn it is. We can use Ash Blossom on either player's turn. Same, anytime you see quick effect on any card, all the cards we're going to go through here in just a moment for the hand trap portions are quick effects, so we can use them on our turn or our opponent. So just kind of keep that in mind in case I don't bring it up again. So just make sure you're aware of that. So lets us know we can discard this card and negate the effect. One, if we're going to add a card from the deck. So anything that's going to pull, like a reinforcement of the army, or a proving ground, like for the Gladiator Beast that I mentioned that you guys see me play a lot in the live streams. Those are two of the main cards. There's others as well, but those are the main two that most common. Especially when a monster card from the deck, like if they play Unexpected Die, or like if they have a monster that got destroyed by battle, it's going to special summon from the deck because their monster got destroyed by battle. You could Ash that, and that would negate it. Or if they're going to send any card from the deck to the graveyard, it could be like, Foolish Burial would be a good example as well. So you could negate Foolish with Ash. So this is why it's really just a good card, because you can tell that I listed right three different, really three different cards that are also very commonly used spell-wise as well that's in the game. If you guys aren't familiar with them, consider looking them up, or just watch any of my live streams. I play all those cards consistently in the stream. Especially if you're new, definitely consider checking that out. I go over a lot of stuff and tutorial tips and tricks. I'll list some of my other videos as well, kind of up in the other comments. But we'll kind of go through. I got a bunch of cards, so I want to make sure we don't spend too much time. Ghost Ogre as well. So this one's another good one as well, guys. So what she does is when a monster on the field activates effect, or when a spell or trap card is already face up on the field and activates its effect. So another good example would be like my Six Samurai deck and me using like Gateway, for example. So if I go to use Gateway's effect, they can use Ghost Ogre. So what they're going to do with Ghost Ogre, it's going to end up destroying um, my gateway. So, and unfortunately, gateways, you can only use one copy of gateway. So there goes my gateway. So that basically just pretty much ends the game almost just about for a six samurai deck. If not, it hurts the deck very badly, depending on what you've already got your field built. You're good to go as long as you can keep the field. You're fine, and just kind of play from there. But that does hurt the card. Versus where Ash doesn't destroy, she just negates. Uh, you know, so just kind of keep that in mind. Um, when just kind of the differences between the cards between these two. But I thought that was a good comments for that. Another common one that you're going to see is DD, Crow, and Nibiru. These are another two very common hand traps. This one lets you basically, if you discard a DD Crow from your hand to the graveyard, then you can target one card in your opponent's graveyard and banish it. So basically what you could do if they're trying to bring something back from the graveyard, or maybe they're trying to remove it from play to get a monster card effect to special summon out, or maybe as a cost effect or something like that, you can remove DD Crow and chain for of them trying to special summon their card, or trying to remove it from play at cost or whatever. Maybe they're trying to cycle it back to their hand, or maybe they're trying to monster reborn it to bring it back to their side of the field. This would, you could use this to counter them and it would remove it from play and chain, and that would, keep them from bringing back the monster. In this case of, them trying to bring it back with monster reborn, for example. Another one that a lot of people are using still is Nibiru. I haven't seen it as much, but I'm still starting to see it a little bit more than I have in the past, especially in the live streams that I do. So this is definitely going to be one that's probably going to stick around, guys, just because there's so many like combo decks. That's mostly what I play as well, as you guys know, as combo decks. So this card really does hurt combo deck players in a sense, but there's ways to combo around it or just combo through it, which I've done in a few of the live streams, especially if the person misplays the card. So it's very important to know your opponent's deck and know when the best time is to play Nibiru. If you guys read his effect, you notice you can play him when your opponent is normal summoned or special summoned up to 5 or more times, uh, basically in a turn. So basically, once they hit the fifth summon, you could do it then, but sometimes that may not be the best bet because, right, they may be able to combo through it. So just kind of keep that in mind. If you are new and starting to play and you are using a combo deck and you know you have some combos where you could do five or more summons. Just kind of keep that in mind. Like a perfect example is my Gladiator Beast deck. So it's would be good for me to get like Dalmatianus out for example, so I can use Dalmatianus negate to stop Nibiru, and we get to keep our entire field, and Nibiru would be destroyed because we're able to negate his effect. So just keep that in mind. As long as you stay at like 4 or less, summons on your turn, you're perfectly fine. So just kind of keep that in mind. If he does come out, you do get, they're going to tribute all of your monsters, of course, so you're going to lose your entire board, and then you're going to get one of the tokens. And they can choose to put in attack or defense. Some decks that use OTK decks, they'll put them in attack mode so they can attack and go for game. Or most people will just kind of put it in defense if they're not running OTK deck. Another one, guys, is Called by the Grave. Looks like this video is going to be longer than I planned. I'll just go ahead and say that now, guys. But hopefully you guys appreciate the additional commentary that I'm adding to you and explaining why you need to know the importance of why I put the cards in the video and I just didn't pick some random cards. So let me know if you guys appreciate the extra commentary. The video is going to be longer than I expected, but that's why I'm just adding really the whole points of why it's important for you to know these cards as a new player and how they're it's important for you to kind of play against them or how they're used in the meta in the game, if that makes sense. Hopefully that makes sense as we continue to dive through. Another really good one is Called by the Grave. So for like example, all of the hand traps that we just went through, guys, with like the Ash Blossom, and the others, except for like Nibiru, for example. All of these, like these other three, Ash Blossom, Ghost Ogre, DD Crow, we can negate them with Call by the Grave. So let's say they activate them. Maybe on our turn they go to Ashes, for example, and we have Call by the Grave in our hand. It's our turn. We can activate Call by the Grave, and that will remove their Ash Blossom from play, but it's also going to negate their effect as well due to Call by the Grave's effect. So that's why it's still very commonly used card because there's so many cards that use graveyard effects, especially with monster cards, of course. Whether it's trying to bring something back or they're trying to use an effect off of it, or combo and chain with something with a monster card and effect to bring it back or bring something else back or add something to your hand or put it something else removed from play or put something back into the deck. There's so many things that this kind of keeps from your opponent kind of combo in a sense, or you could keep them from, yet again, like the example I gave before, maybe they play Monster Reborn on a monster. Well, you can play Call by the Grave if you have it set it face, if you set it face down on your turn and it goes to your opponent's turn. Let's say they play Monster Reborn. When they go to target the monster, well, now you can Call by the Grave it. Now that monster is removed from play, and now they've just basically wasted their Monster Reborn. for example, or if they have a monster on the field that that has a maybe really good effect or something like that that's really OP. If they have another copy of that card in the graveyard, you can call by the Gravid, and it's not only going to negate the one that's in the graveyard, but it's going to negate the one they have on the field as well, because it's all cards with that same name into the end of the turn. Uh, of their next turn, excuse me. So just kind of keep that in mind. So it's a really good way to get around stuff like that in decks. Dimension Shifter is another really good card that's being played a lot now in the meta. Against like Drytron, Virtual World. Those are like the two main decks. You guys have seen me go against this in the live stream as well with the Gladiator Beast. It hurts the Gladiator Beast a lot as well. So when you go against this, a lot of the times you have to, depending on your deck and your hand and the situation, right? Sometimes it may be best to go all out and do your combo, or sometimes it may be best to, just kind of set what you can and pass, or maybe just pass, because every card that you do, if you're not running like a remove from play deck or something, you're going to be able to, recover your resources back from graveyard, or if it just from it being removed from play route, it's going to keep you from comboing like it would for the Gladiator Beast that I use a lot on the stream. Things like that, I have to kind of keep in mind when I go to make those decisions, because I can't make the combo plays if most of the cards that I need to cycle back to the field with using comeback to bring one of them back to the field, whether it be Tame Editor or whoever, now because they're all removed from play. Because if you see his effect, you can send this card from your hand to the graveyard until the end of this turn. Any other cards sent to the graveyard are banished instead. So that really hurts, a lot of decks, but definitely Virtual World and Drytron is a very good card for this to be used against. Any deck would basically probably be good against, but those are like the main two that would, hurt more than most decks, for example. Another good card for you guys to know is Infinite Permanence. This one is you see a lot. You almost see me this played almost in every duel that I go up against, if not every duel, every other duel I play as well. Same as like Ash Blossom as well, guys. So that's why I wanted to make sure I included them in the video. So in case you're not aware of these cards, whether you being a new player or recently getting back into Yu-Gi-Oh, what this one does is basically it's another hand trap card. It's actually a trap card that's a hand trapped in a sense as well. What it does is if let's say you're going second and your opponent's going first, they they activate one of their monsters' effect, and let's say you decide, hey, that's insane. It looks like they're probably going to do some crazy combo that I saw, that he did in the last game that I saw him do. Well, I'm going to use my infinite permanence and I'm going to negate it. So that's what it do. It would negate the monster card's effect. What it also does, if you read down to the rest of it for the rest of this turn, all their spell or trap cards in that column, uh, basically they're negated. So if they accidentally play in that same zone, which sometimes I do on stream, unfortunately, because I'm so click happy, as you guys know. Sometimes I get too into the moment and so click happy, I accidentally click it myself. So I'm a victim of it as well. Sometimes just trying to get too ahead of myself and being too click happy. So that's why it's important to make sure when they play in perm that you look at your spell and trap card zone out of your 5 spell and trap card zones that you have, whichever one your corresponding zone that matches their exact zone they played it into, that's going to go straight across. It's important that you don't play another spell or trap card there that turn. You need to play it in another zone. If you play it there by accident, you basically just wasted your card. So that's an extra bonus effect. A lot of people forget about it or do it by accident. So it ends up becoming sometimes a 2-in-1. They negated your monster card effect, and there went your spell card, maybe to try and make a comeback from the negate, for example. So that's why I put this one on the list. Another one as well. This one drives me crazy. I got this a lot. If you guys want to see Mystic Mine and more Mystic Mine, check out the stream that I did. Um, there's a stream that I did. Unfortunately, I didn't record the audio, unfortunately, but I went up against like 2 or 3 Mystic Mind decks. So if you want to see Mystic Mind decks and kind of like a burn deck in a sense and control decks, definitely check out the stream that I did. I think it was, I want to say, was it last Friday? I want to say last Friday. Definitely consider checking that out. Um, but yeah, it was like I think it was like an hour-ish, maybe hour and a half, maybe 2 hour stream at the most, because I got laid off work that day. But yeah, but I put this one here because it's so OP. In my personal opinion, they still need to change the effect of this card. We'll go through and I'll read the effect, and you'll see this card's so insane, and it's why it's important that you know about this card. So for Mystic Mind, guys, what it does if your opponent controls basically more monsters than you do, uh, your opponent cannot activate any monster card effects or declare an attack. That's what makes it even crazier. So not only can you not activate any of your monster card effects, that's count monster cards in your hand, that's count monster cards on your field. You also can't enter battle phase, so that hurts a lot too. So you can't even attack them. So what that means, guys, is basically they could just go first. well, basically, well, say you go first, they go second, you get your monster card or your combo out or whatever, and then they play Mystic Mine. Well, now you can't do anything if, listen, you have something to negate it right when they go to play it, but let's say that you don't. Now Mystic Mine's in the field, so now all your monsters lose their effects, and now you can't attack. They don't have to summon a monster card to activate or resolve this card. They can just play the card, which a lot of people will do is they'll just play Mystic Mine. They'll set their back row cards if it's more of a burn control type deck, and then they'll just end their turn and they'll go through turn after turn, basically cycling and burning you, or get into the position of where they have control of the board, and then they'll get rid of their Mystic Mine, and then they'll OTK you in that turn. So that's basically how this deck or most kind of control decks work anyway. But specifically with Mystic Mine, that's how the deck is run. So it's why it's very important that you know this, because this card can be frustrating to go against uh, as well. And we'll go over that. One of the cards I have here too is a good card to counter this, so we'll get to that here in a second. But another way to get rid of it as well is the reason why they usually just set this and play this and pass is basically during the end phase, if we control the same number of monsters, the card is destroyed, or if they control more monster cards than us too as well, we're good to go too. So just kind of keep that in mind. Another good way to get rid of Mystic Mine is this. Why I put this on the list next is Cosmic Cyclone. That's why it's important that you guys know about this because it removes it from play, just in case with them running those type of control decks. They're more than likely going to have something to cycle it back. There's also other, monster cards and spell cards that can allow them to cycle back Mystic Mine from the graveyard back into their hand and/or deck. So that's why it's important to run or know about Cosmic Cyclone. You do have to pay 1,000 life points, but on the bright side, you do get to banish. In this case, the Mystic Mine. Uh, but they're more than likely, it's highly unlikely they're going to be able to bring it back. So you're going to be good to go at that point. There's other cards you can use it as well. You can use it to banish face down as well. It doesn't have to be a face up spell or trap card, guys. It can be face down. So keep that in mind too. So if you have something, if they just have one back row set, maybe it's the imperm like we were talking about before, and we Cosmic Cyclone it. Hey, we remove from play their imperm. Fantastic, especially if they're using like trap tricks or something like that where they can recycle it or things like that. That's fantastic that we got rid of that. Another one that I put in here, it's a very broken card because it's made up of 3 forbidden cards. It's typical tactical talents. It's important that you know as a new player because more than likely, right, your opponent's going to be the one playing this card against you, which is why I included it in this list here. uh, because you guys can see how broken it is. Basically, if you use any effect during their turn, so like if we use like a hand trap, like let's say we ash them, maybe they play reinforcement of the army and we go to ash them. Well, that's fantastic for them because now they can play typical tactical talents. They can now choose one of these effects now, uh, since since we've activated a monster card effect during their main phase. So they can choose to draw 2 cards, guys, or they can take control of one of our monsters into the end phase. Because keep in mind, right, this is their turn. Or they could also look at our hand and choose 1 card from it and basically make us shuffle back in the deck. I haven't seen too many people do that. Most people are going to steal your monster more than likely, or draw the 2 cards. Most people usually just draw the 2 cards, but of course, it depends on the situation of which one they're going to use. Whichever one makes the most sense, in the situation they need to draw the cards, they're going to draw the 2. If maybe you have some OP monster on the field, and the best chance is for them to take control of it and maybe link off of it or link into something else or tribute it or get rid of it for cost or something or synchro with it. um, that's what they're going to do. And essentially another good way to get through a lot of cards that have effects that keep you kind of from playing and things like that, like Dragoon and stuff like that. I use like you guys may see me run Dark Ruler no more, so it's important that you know about this as far as cards to help you play against the meta, with cards like, let's say, they have like a Naturia Beast or like an Apollousa out, something like that that's going to negate your spells, your monster card effects. Maybe they got a Genzo or something like that negating traps, or, something like that's going to negate trap cards. Or just, just anything in general that you don't like on their side of the field that's maybe interrupting your board or keeping you from playing at all. Dark Ruler No More is a really good way to get around that because it gets rid of all of their face-up monster effects. Uh, into the end of, into the end of your turn. But the only downside, right, is they take no battle damage. You guys see me play this card a lot in the Gladiator. We don't really care about the battle damage, right? At this point, we just care about breaking their board. So just make sure you keep that in mind. Where the point of this card is just to help you be able to play, break their board, combo, and try and basically retake, kind of retake the field in a sense. So just kind of keep that in mind. But it's a really good card. That's why I've used it. Another one I put in here as well is Forbidden Droplet. Yet again, it's a good card because you want to make, more than likely this card's getting used against you more than likely, unless you're doing one of the simulators where you're using it because it's a very expensive card. I think it's still running like 150. The Triple Tactical Talents is a very expensive card too. So more than likely, if you guys are seeing these cards, either you're using an online version or it's someone that's that's playing against you that's went out and spent a good bit of money to have these cards because they are very expensive. But Droplet's kind of like basically a quick play version of Dark Ruler no more in a sense. So we can send, we'll go through and look at the effects. So we can send a number of cards from our hand and or field to the graveyard to choose that many effect monsters our opponent controls into the end phase. Their attack is half. So this is very good against Dragoon guys because you can cut Dragoon in half. Uh, and also their effects are negated in response to this activation. Basically, our opponent can't negate it. So when you go to play Forbidden Droplet, your opponent's not going to be able to negate it with Dragoon if we get rid of cards of the same type like monster, spell, or trap. So in this case, we would need to get rid of at least a monster card uh, to keep, so Dragoon can't, basically wouldn't be able to negate it. Or if they have anything else that's like spell or trap, you get the point, right? We just need to get rid of stuff that's going to keep them from activating something in response. If you discard all three, let's say we discard a monster, spell, and a trap, that means they can't activate a monster, spell, or trap in response to Forbidden Droplet. And then we would send all those cards to the graveyard, and we can only play one of these once per turn. So it's a hard once per turn, so you can't play another one, which is fine, right? We wouldn't need to play another one anyway, right? So good stuff. I added these on as here as well, guys. Is the Ciddal Winda, and Ciddal Construct. These are played very often. You guys see me play these a lot in the Dino Ciddal Lightsworn deck that I have running. I'm starting to be more and more fun deck for me that I really love playing with. You guys, see me use on the stream a good bit. They're very good cards. I'll let you guys kind of read the effects and I'll just kind of talk about them. I think that'll help with me going through these a little bit more. But basically, what Winda does, guys, once she's on the field, uh, if she would be destroyed once, she wouldn't be destroyed by card effects. So let's say they, you know, use something to destroy her, whether it's a monster card effect or a spell or something. Uh, but she's going to basically survive. Um, So just kind of keep that in mind. So she would live. She's a 2200 too, so that helps out as well. The main thing with her though is she keeps your opponent from being able to special summon, um, only once. So they can only special summon once while this card's on the field. So that really hurts a lot of decks as well. So if they're using like a combo deck, kind of like some of the other ones we talked about, like my Gladiator Beast deck, the Six Sam, Drytron, Virtual World, stuff like that. This is going to really, really slow them down because their deck is basically dead at this point. Especially if we're going first and we're able to get Winda out, because if they can't get rid of Winda or negate, get rid of her effect, they're not going to be able to do anything or going to be able to do very little with their decks because they're going to be able to special summon once. So it's a it's a very good card. Construct is kind of the opposite. She's basically meant to get rid of. She basically when she goes to attack and she attacks a special summon monster, it's automatically destroyed and you don't take any. You're not going to take any battle damage from it. So she's really good for getting rid of cards that are, could be stronger than her, weaker than her, things like that, with her effects. So she's a really good card. And they also have, side effects when they're send it to the graveyard, you can add a card from your hand. In this case, you could add a spell or trap card. And the same here, you can target one of Ciddal spell or trap cards from your graveyard and add it to your hand. So they're sent from the field to the graveyard. You can recover. So they're very good cards, guys, and they're starting to show up more and more because of how good they are. Same thing with the Invoked. I had to add the Invoked on here for the exact same reason I added the Ciddal because as you guys, I play. You guys see me in the live streams. I go against a lot of the Invoked a good bit, and same for the Ciddal as well. There's so many decks that work well mixture with these two, so usually it's not like you're going against straight Invoked or straight Ciddal. They're mixture, they're combo with some other deck portion, and that's why they work so well. Is they're good combo pieces, and they stand out very well on their own with their repetition and being able to cycle. If you're more curious about these decks, definitely check out the live streams. I've got some decks with some of these cards in it. You guys see, Pat that I play a lot here on the channel, and the live stream. Pat uses these in a lot of his decks, so you see Pat play them a lot, and me go up against them and trying to basically counter them in a sense. to be able to get through Pat's board to be able to play or to combo or just be able to to go through the duel essentially. But he's really good though because he can go through basically if your opponent activates and he's another quick effect as well. So if your opponent goes to activate a spell card, you can discard a spell card to negate a spell card. If they activate a monster card effect, you can discard a monster card to negate it. They're always going to have at least a monster because they're going to have Alistair in their hand after using the combo. The thing with Alistair is, well, they can make him gain 1,000 attack. So don't forget that as well. So if you, let's say you don't use any effect and you just go straight into battle, don't forget that they have, Alistair in their hand. So when you go to attack, they're going to get rid of Alistair. So now he's going to went from being a 2,500, now he's going to be a 3,500 thanks to Alistair's effect. Unless maybe you have like Call by the Grave that we were talking about before, something like that, that would be able to stop Alistair's effect, for example. Um, so be careful of that because I've seen people walk into that and forget about it being in their opponent's hand and thinking they can, hey, take it out because it's a 25 and they've got maybe something that's 27 or or 3,000. When it jumps up to that 3,500, it's too late, unfortunately. The other one over here is similar to the other one we were looking at, kind of construct in a sense, a little bit. Uh, Kind of reminds me of construct a little bit the way that it looks. Um, but basically what this one does, guys, is when it's special summoned from the field, we can target one monster our opponent controls and destroy it. We can only use this effect once per turn. Once per turn, we can also banish one fusion monster from our graveyard. This card gains attack equal to that banished monster's attack until the end of your opponent's turn. So it's a good way to boost up attack, and we get to pop a card on their side of the field, so that's fantastic. Another ones that you guys need to be aware of, I just added these two, but you need to be aware of kaijus just in general. Uh, Kaijus go through a lot as far as like being able to tribute monsters on your side of the field. You guys have seen this happen to me a few times where I have my infinite negate board out and they just kaiju me. They get rid of Avion. Now they've broken my entire board because it's not an effect, so I can't negate it with using the infinite negate, or I can't negate it with Dalmatianus because it's just that's how it's basically a standard tribute summon. It's not a monster card effect, if that makes sense. So it's able to bypass a lot of stuff in the meta. Uh, Basically due to that reasoning. So just kind of keep that in mind. That's why you're not able to negate it, because it's not a card effect in a sense. It's just a standard tribute summon. If that helps you better understand the kaiju's a little bit better. But that's why they're so good, and you see a lot of them mixtured in decks as well because of that exact reason. They help basically break boards. If you've got some OP monster out on the field or Synchro Link, they can just kaiju it away and then continue to go about their business like you didn't even do anything essentially. So that's why it's important you guys know about the kaiju. Uh, I put in Kriston Holyfibrax as well, just in case, because he's a very good card, as we all know, and a lot of people hate this card as well too, which is another reason why I put it on the list as well. Just in case you didn't already know about him. But basically what he does, guys, he's made with, you can see, with two monsters, including a link monster. So what they would do is send their whatever monster on the field, the link, send them to the graveyard, play him. His effect would activate. He would get to special summon a 3 or lower tuner from basically from the hand or deck in defense position. And a lot of people are going to combo from that and go into some other, usually some sort of other link play and things like that. It's very rare that I've seen anyone use his other effect to special summon the synchro, tuner synchro from the extra deck during the, you know, using his effect. So um, there are some people that probably use in some decks, but I haven't seen too many people use the other part of his effect. Mostly it's just really to get him to get out the extra tuner they need in the deck to combo with, for essentially. That's why I added him. True King of all Calamities, we'll talk about this, also known as VFD, guys. He's made by 2 level 9 monsters, so he's an Exceed monster. The thing with him is, once he like let's say we're playing, if you're playing against him more than, there's a good chance you're going against Virtual World. Virtual World uses this deck in their deck a lot, and this is usually what they go for to end their board. They'll still have some of the other synchros usually on the field too, but this is the main one they're going for, and they're going to put it in defense. They put it in defense to keep from stuff like lightning strike, or things like that, or things being able to like slam into it and things like that as well. So just kind of keep that in mind. The downside too, just to make sure where, and I'll let you guys kind of read the effect as I kind of talk about him. But basically, once he activates his effect, what they're going to do is during your standby phase, they're going to activate his effect. They're going to get rid of one of the exceed materials on the card and send it to the graveyard. So what that means on your turn, they're going to declare the attribute whatever you're using mostly is what they're probably going to declare. They're going to declare that, and then what they do is all of your attributes are treated as that. So then what happens is when you play your monsters, none of them have any effects. So what that means is you're not going to be able to use Dark Rule anymore. You can't use Droplet at this point. Those cards won't work at this point because his effect is already activated. It stays for the entire turn. You can still play Dark Rule no more, right? You can still play those cards, right? But it's not going to keep you. You're not going to be able to combo around using those monster card effects for this turn. Hopefully that makes sense. So what we're going to have to do is really just make sure we find another way around it, or find a way to stall into, our opponent has to um, maybe we can do some effects on their turn to force them to use the other, because they're going to be able to use it twice, right? So if they're going to use the one on our turn, of course, to keep us from doing stuff. So if we have a monster effect that we can use on their turn that's going to force them, that we can force them to use the other one, that will be good. So they can go and get rid of that. They'll probably still exceed summon again and go into another one, but at least we've got the other one out of play. And now if you've got droplets face down, now when they go to use them on your turn during your standby phase, now that we have droplets set face down and they go for the follow-on turn back onto the other calamities, now we can counter it with using droplets, for example. So that would be a good way to, to kind of counter the card in a sense. Hopefully that makes sense, how the card works and why it's so good, guys, because it lasts the full turn. Even if you destroy him, even if they destroy him with the virtual world the trap card as well, his effect's going to stay whether he leaves the field or not. So getting him off the field is not going to help you. Usually that works in Yu-Gi-Oh, but this is the one card that's that broken that's that I'm surprised he's not been on the ban list yet. We'll see if he hits the ban list later on this year, because that definitely will hurt virtual world a lot, not being able to end on this card. But we'll see what happens. But hopefully that helps you guys get better at that. We can't do this video without talking about Dragoon. Dragoon's just so broken, guys. That's why I've obviously added him to this video because he's very frustrating to go against. Because once they get him out, it's very very hard to get around him. Mostly just because of his one, his attack. They also negate. He also has his disruption ability as well too, and then also he gains attack for the cards that he destroys as well when he negates and destroys. So he's gaining that extra 1,000 attack, which keeps making him stronger. So the more stuff they negate and get rid of, the stronger he becomes. So you have to be very careful playing this card. A lot of the times when he just comes out on the field, depending on where you're at in the duel and what's on the board and where you're at in the game, it could be game instantly as soon as they get him out. Maybe they could use his effect to pop the two cards, and they're already going to burn your life points for just by destroying their cards if they have a lot of attack, and maybe you've already took a little bit of damage or something. So it could be the case of just getting them out and then popping the cards, because most people are just going to use the Dark Magician and the Red Eyes, so that way since they're both normal, they're going to get two pops instead of just using one and uh, using the other dragon effect monster that you can see. That's why you guys don't, in case anyone's wondering why you don't see anyone use the dragon effect monster, that's why, because they get two pops, so they can destroy two monsters and do that extra, damage and disruption. But this is actually not the last card on here, guys. I actually have another one as well. Um, the one I wanted to end on was this one here. This one is one I'm going to start playing a lot more of my decks. Is Underworld Goddess of the Closed World. I pulled this actually in my unboxing of Blazing Vortex. I was very surprised. It was actually I think it was like in the second pack. I think it was the second or third pack I pulled out of doing the very first box. I pulled her. If you guys haven't a chance to check out that video, I'll link it in the upper right as well. But I pulled her as well. She's very epic. I'm going to start using her. What she's made with, she's a Link 5, guys, so we would need essentially 5 monsters to play her, but not really. So she's different. So what's good about her is you're only going to need 4 from your end in a sense. Um, so what you could do, or what you can do in a sense, well, I'll just kind of go through reader effect, and then we'll talk about kind of how to play her and stuff, and why I've listed her as well. So basically, what we can use is when we go to the summoner, we can use one of our opponent's monsters as materials. Uh, to go into Link. So this is a good way to get rid of something like they have on their field that's, being a big pain to get rid of. So if they have some broken card on the field, bam, that's going to be the card that you're using as Link material that you're going to use to get rid of it. And then basically you're going to go into Underworld Goddess in a sense. So you're going to use one of their cards and then 4 of your cards in a sense. Uh, and basically she's also a skill drain as well, guys. She negates the effects of all face-up monster your opponent currently controls. This card's link summon. It's also unaffected by your opponent's card activated effects, unless they target this card. Once per turn during your when your opponent activates a card effect, a card or effects that special summon something from the graveyard, quick effect, we basically can negate the activation. So that's insane. So it doesn't destroy. It doesn't say negate the activation and destroy. So keep that in mind. So if they have something they're trying to special summon from their hand, for example, it's not going to destroy their card. The card's just going to stay in their hand and they can't use it. They can't special summon it again for this turn, for example. So just kind of keep that in mind. They would have to wait to next turn to try to re-special summon that monster that they're trying to special summon from the hand. If you happen to use that effect, just to kind of give you an idea. But she's really good, guys. Once getting her out, I'm gonna throw her in the Six Samurai deck, and we'll try her out. I think she'll help fix the deck with a lot of the issues that it has with getting rid of monster card effects and with the other combos that I have already in the deck that's insane that would be out on the board. I think she would really help make my Six Samurai deck be more competitive, for example. And I'm going to use her with IP because you got to think with using her with IP um, would just make her even more broken. uh, her broken as well too. So we're definitely gonna try. I'm gonna definitely try her out in the Six Sam and a few other decks, and we'll see how she works out and see how she plays. But that'll do it for this video, guys. I apologize for the video being longer than expected, but like I said, I wanted to go through and make sure I provide context to the video of why I selected the cards, why you as a new player needed to know about these cards and how the cards functions, how they're played in today's meta, how to play against them, how they're being used. So whether you have the cards or you're thinking about getting the cards, or maybe you're just playing against the cards, whether it be online or locals or whatever it may be. Now you know what to expect just starting out as a new player or a player that just recently started playing Yu-Gi-Oh again, and you've got an idea of how these cards work and how to play against them. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys would like to see me do more videos like this, please let me know down below in the comments if you got any ideas of other videos you would like me to see do here on the channel. Please let me know. I know if some of you guys request some deck profile videos, we'll definitely get those going. But just let me know down below in the comments. Remember, we're still on the road to 500 subscribers as well, guys, so definitely consider getting subscribed once we hit 500 subs. I'll be giving 3 seal booster boxes to 3 lucky different individuals here on the channel once we hit 500 subscribers. As filming this video, we're about halfway there, so definitely consider getting subscribed. Also, consider smashing the like button as well, guys. If you guys like this video, it really does help out the channel a lot as far as promoting the channel. So YouTube goes to share this video with people that's not in our community already, so it helps our community to continue to grow. That'll do it for this video, guys. If you guys made it to the end of the video, like always, I greatly appreciate it. It means the world that you guys take time out of your day to watch my videos, whether it's the live streams or these other just individual videos that I'll upload here to YouTube. But that'll do it, guys. I'll catch you guys in the next video, and you guys have a good night. Take care.